And now the spotlight turns to Mike Towe.
At the time of order, was in the top 1% of the fastest computers.
All right, everybody.
So next week it'll be awesome.
Let's pause those great conversations. I hate to interrupt that, but let's save that for the next break and get back to it here with Mr. Michael Towe. Mike is the owner of M2 Digital Post, a production and post-production company in Santee, California. He's worked out as an editor and producer for over 20 years, specializing in corporate, broadcast, and film productions. In that time, he has been awarded 13 Telly Awards and 4 Emmys for his work. Michael believes that when it comes to telling stories, emotion is the key, and in his editing, he strives to enhance the emotion of each scene and leave the viewer no choice but to watch, which is why today he's talking about not that, but XML. Nice, geeky topic. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Towe.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be talking to the backs of iMacs. I can't see no faces. Robin asked me to come in and talk a little bit about Final Cut 10 because Final Cut 10 is my editor of choice and has been for a while. I want to dispel the myth that Final Cut 10 is the best editing system, or Premiere is the best editing system, or Avid is the best editing system. The hardware and the software is not what makes great edits, it's the wetware that's running it. The reason that I use Final Cut 10 is I've found it to be the fastest editing system that I have ever worked on. And I've worked on Avids, I've worked on Premiere, I've worked on Final Cut 7. Final Cut 10 for me is the fastest. And part of that, one of the reasons for that is it's the metadata, man. Final Cut, Apple as a whole looked at editing systems and how editing systems were built and the mindset of working on an editing system, which was pretty much all based on film editing workflows. If we look at Avids, you have clips and you have bins, just like you did when you were holding physical film. And you had clips of films and you put it in bins. And Apple said, yeah, I think we can do something different with that because nowadays it's all digital and there's metadata that can travel with this footage as it comes off of set and into the edit bay. And so they released Final Cut 10 and everybody went, what the hell are you doing? You screwed everything up. And that everybody included me, because I came from that Final Cut 7 world, that Avid world. And when I first looked at Final Cut 10, it was like, this will not work, because there was so much missing. But a couple of things were the crack that kept me coming back to Final Cut 10, and one was keyword organization, which I'm going to show a little bit of. The other was the magnetic timeline, which I'm going to show a little bit of. And eventually, Apple got it to a point where it was not only usable, but extremely fast. So before I start talking about how Final Cut uses metadata, I want to talk a little bit about how Final Cut 10 works and how that's different from other edit systems that you've worked on. So most edit systems work in a world of clips and bins. You have a clip, the clip gets organized into a bin. Avid blew that up and said, no, we're going to use a thing called keywords instead of bins. Now, the advantage of that is when editing on an older system, which works, or older style system, which works on bins and clips. I've got a clip of an interview with this gentleman named Mike. Now, if I wanted to take Mike on an Avid or on Premiere or on Final Cut 7, and I wanted to organize him into multiple things, I would have to have multiple bins. So if I wanted to be able to reference this media as an interview, I'd have to have a bin for interviews, right? If I wanted to reference it as Mike, I would also have to put it into a bin for Mike. which means I have to duplicate the clip because I need 2 clips to put it in 2 different bins. Apple said, no, you should be able to do that with 1 clip. You should be able to reference it however you want. So here, I can mark the whole clip, and I can hit Command K to add a keyword, and I can create a keyword for interview. I have a keyword here now for interview. So any clip that has that keyword, if I click on it, it's going to show up. But I also want him in a collection that says hats, because I want everybody that's wearing a hat to also be referenced. So I can now add another keyword and just say hat. So now I've got 2 keyword collections over here. You'll see that he's in both of them, right? He's in the hat. Actually, if I do this, it'll be easier to see. He's in the hat collection. He's also in the interview collection, right? Makes sense? So now I've taken that 1 clip, and I now have multiple ways to reference it without having to duplicate that clip, without having to create multiple bins. It's just done through keyword collections. But I can also take that clip and break it up into ranges of keywords. So if I look at the very beginning of this clip, I'm going to have him introducing himself as who he is. This is something I do with every interview. It's not going to be used in a final edit. This is just slate it. Who are you? How do you spell your name? So if we play this clip.
An example would be if I said, what's your favorite color instead of blue?
Oh, that's my usual spiel.
Handman. It's Mike and
So what I did there is just marked an endpoint.
Handman, Handman.
Excellent. And
So now I have what I refer to as the locator for this guy. Let me zoom in so you can see that I've just selected that small little range. So now I'm going to create another keyword collection, and I usually just call it loc, right? That's just the locators for everybody. Everybody will get a loc. Well, when I go to the loc selection, I have Mike, but I only have
Mike, by the way,
this little section.
Mike and Handman, Handman.
excellent.
So, right, are you guys following along? So, in the interview, I have all of his interview. In the hat collection, I have all of his interview because I selected the whole thing. But here in the loc, I only have that little small section. So I can organize my clips based on full clips or ranges within a clip. I'm going to keep going back to this because this is just keeping me on track. You can also use folders within Final Cut. So I can create a folder, and I do this a lot if I have interviews and B-roll. I will create a folder for the interviews, and I'll create a folder for the B-roll. So what I'm doing here is I'm going up to the event. The event is the top level, well, second level down in organization. You have a library, then you have an event. I'm going to right-click on the event, and I'm going to say New Folder, and I'll just call this folder Interviews. And then all I have to do is take the interview keyword collection, throw it into the interviews folder, and now anything that has that interview keyword applied to it will go into that folder. Is everybody tracking? We're all good? And a lot of times the reason that I do this is I may have a bunch of keywords, and if I want to, and I only have so much real estate here in this area. So if I have like a bunch of keywords for B-roll and I put them in the B-roll folder, I can always close that folder up and then get my real estate back here. All right, so that's how we organize within Final Cut, how we organize our clips. So how can we do that with metadata that's captured on set so that we don't have to do it when we get back into post. Because the normal process is to get back into post, go through all your interviews, chop these whole things up, keyword them all, right? So how can we do that immediately when we get back into post? There is an application out there called Lumberjack. And Lumberjack will allow you to do this on set. This is the interface for Lumberjack. I'll preface this by saying Lumberjack is $10 a month. It's a subscription. You can buy it for just 1 month if you want. What we're going to do before we go out on set is we're going to create some information that we can capture on set through Lumberjack. So we go to the Lumberjack Logger webpage, we log in, and these are the categories that you can create information for. So you can create information for a location. Are we shooting in San Diego? Are we shooting in Santee? Are we shooting at Rancho Bernardo High School, right? So you basically create it here. So we're going to add a new location, call it San Diego. And you'll notice that San Diego popped up right here in our locations list. We can create keywords for the people that we're going to interview, right? So we'll say new, and we're going to interview Mike, I forget what his last name was, Handman, Mike Handman. Now he's there. We can go into activities. Activities, a lot of times this would be used for whether it's an interview or whether it's B-roll, what kind of B-roll is it? If we know we're shooting a documentary on kids playing baseball, we might have one for at bat. We might have one for pitcher, for whatever. This is, you come up with it and you create it here. For this one, I'm just going to create an activity called interviews. And this is other keywords that you want to add. So a lot of times what I will utilize this for is the questions that I'm going to ask. Because I'm going to have a list of questions before I go out to do my interview. Or at least if I'm a good producer, I'm going to have a list of questions. So I'll create questions for it. The first one I know I'm always going to ask is that loc, right? I'm going to ask them, give me your first and last name, spell it out. What's your organization and your title? So they're going to have that. Once I create this event within Lumberjack, it lives in Lumberjack up on the web. So for this project here, and I'm actually going to go in and unclutter this so that it will make more sense when we do this. I'm going to get rid of these keywords. And I'm going to get rid of this folder.
When you get rid of the keywords here, does that get rid of it on the clip also, or just there?
It removes it from the clip, correct. Yes. It doesn't remove any media. You're not deleting media. You're just deleting the keyword collection. So I've actually already created a Lumberjack event for this project. And what this project was an interview B-roll project that I did for Sullivan Solar Power a couple of years ago, where they brought people in from the community to listen to an educational spiel about putting solar on your house. We did 3 interviews. So here is the log for it that I created. So we had 2 locations that we were going to shoot. One was in Chula Vista, one was in San Diego. I knew the people that we were going to interview. I knew their names, so those are the 3 people. Again, we have the activities, B-roll, or interview, and these are all the questions that I was going to ask, right? So now, does that mean that I have to take my laptop with me when I go to do this interview? And the answer to that is no, And let me get Reflector up and going here, so I can kind of screen mirror this. And if anybody wants to show their iPhone on the screen, now's the time. So what I do is I log into Logger. So you do need internet connectivity. You can download this first and then use it, but you will need internet connectivity eventually to upload it. So I select this, and when I'm on set, I've got my iPhone, and I have all of that information that I put in there. Now,
It's been logged.
it hasn't been logged yet. This is just the information that I want to log, because each one of these things here is going to become a keyword collection within Final Cut. And give me 1 second to make sure I'm still on track. Oh, I can't move that. All right, we're gonna wing it. So how this works is when I get on set, the first person that I'm going to interview is going to be Mike. So I get on set. Before I sit down with Mike, I know I'm in Chula Vista, so I'm going to select that. I know that Mike is my interview, so I'm going to select that. I know that he is an interview, so I'm going to select that. And then as I ask him his question, so I ask him, give me your name, first and last name, spell it. I tap on that. He gives me his answer. When he's done, I tap on it again, and I've just created a keyword collection for that range, his locator, right? His information that he's given me. Is everybody still tracking?
Yep. Is that all based on time of day?
It is all based on time of day time code. We'll get to that. You're jumping ahead, man. So, and actually, if you look at the very top of this, you'll see that there's time of day time code spinning away, right up here. So now I asked him the second question. So Mike, why did you come to this solar event? I click on that. Notice how this just went red? It's starting to track time. Mike tells me, well, I came here because this is a wonderful place and I wanted a lot of information and it was great and it was wonderful and blah, 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 and now I'm done talking, and I hit that. I've just created a keyword range for his answer, right? We go through the day, and every time we have somebody different, we check the next name, and then we turn on and off the questions as they start answering and as they end answering. And when we're done, we use this button here to upload it to the Logger server, right? And it creates this log and we upload it.
Then it's logged.
Then it's logged on the server. It's not logged in Final Cut yet. The footage isn't logged in Final Cut yet. One thing that I will point out is, since this is time of day time code, the first thing that I will do, and let me stop sharing here. So the first thing that I will do, because like with my camera, I can shoot time of day time code, but when I set what the time of day time code is and then say update, I don't know if the seconds are going to match. I can match the minutes, but I can't match the seconds. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to shoot my screen, right? So that I have this reference of where the time code is. Because with that, I can create an offset in Logger so that everything lines back up. I'm not really worried about frames, because this is just a log. It doesn't have to be frame accurate. We're not doing dialogue, anything like that we have to match up. We're just marking in and out points. All right, so we come back to our edit bay. We ingest our footage. We have all of our clips here for our interviews. Right, we did 3 interviews. We got all of our 3 interviews. So now I'm going to use XML to bring these logs in and marry them up. So I'm going to go to the event, and I'm going to say File, Export XML. I'm going to export the XML for this event. And I'm going to put it over here in this logger XML. Actually, let's call this 2 because there's already one in there. I'm going to choose extended because I want all the information that I can send to it. There's a bunch of different types of setups that will send less or more information. I want to send as much as I can. And I'm going to say save. Final Cut 10 now exported out that XML. From there, I'm going to go to an application that I have called Lumberyard. Noticing a trend here? And I'm going to log in to Lumberyard. Then I'm going to go over here, and remember we created that event called SDMP Sullivan, right? So I'm going to click on that to tell it that's the event that I want to reference. I'm going to import the XML that I just exported. Where is my Orion drive? There it is. I'm going to open that. It's going to import it, and I have some selections that I can make here. I can say that each person's activity is going to be a keyword collection, right? So we'll select that. Each person's other keywords are going to be a keyword collection. Remember, the other keywords were all the questions that we asked, right? So we're going to mark that. I'm going to mark the activity because it's going to then keyword everybody as an interview because they're an interview. And then over here, I'm going to select, where is it? I'm going to select add lower third titles for each person. So everybody that comes in, it's going to create a lower third for. And I'm looking for another selection in here. Is it hiding under preferences? So we're going to send this back to Final Cut Pro, right? And these are string outs. So it's going to create a string out, and I actually don't want to select these. Sorry, it's been a bit. But I do want to select this one. I want to create a string out for each of the other keywords that we had. So each of the questions, right? And I'm going to say send to Final Cut Pro X. Send to Final Cut Pro, and it's going to import that information into Final Cut. So what just happened? So all that information that we captured on set, it's logged. So here's our activities. We only had one interview keyword. If I click on that, everybody here has got interview keywords. Location, we only had one because it was just Chula Vista. So everybody here has got a Chula Vista keyword. Actually, if I open this up, you'll be able to see. Those are all the keywords that it applied, right? So we have Chula Vista, we have Mike, we have, now here's where it gets fun. We have his locator, range. Remember how we showed keyword ranges? That's now a keyword range. We have question number 1. That's now a keyword range. That's his answer. We have all of his answers separated out into keyword ranges. Because I don't know about you, but when I do interviews, the first thing I do is separate them out into the interview questions. Because a lot of times, I'm taking that interview, each one of those interview questions, and I'm creating a timeline of those interview questions, right? We're going to do multiple videos. One of them is going to be based around, why did you come to this solar event? One is going to be based around, what did you learn today, right? And again, it's done this with every single one of our interviews. Because we asked the question, started it, ended the question, stopped it. But if we go down to string outs, this is where it gets mind-blowing. Each one of these is a compound clip. So this is the answers that everybody gave to why did you come to this solar event. It's already created a string
Or
out.
about storage patterns.
And it's created a little lower third for him. You know, I'm never probably going to use this lower third. I'm going to come up with something creative, but I can go into this lower third and I can Command-C copy it and paste it into the lower third that I'm going to create. And each one of these questions has its own compound clip of those answers to those questions. So I capture it all on set, come back to my edit bay, ingest my footage, and spend, what did we do, like 3-4 minutes to export an XML, bring it back in, and bam, we've got this. Mind. Right? Yes?
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. You know how it makes a lower third? Can you select a template that it goes into, so it would be even your cool creative stuff?
You cannot. It just is going to create this little
And then you copy.
lower third, right. The one downside of this is that in my experience, you really need an additional person on set to kind of manage this. Because when I'm doing an interview, I need to be in the interview and listening to answers, follow-up questions, things like that, right?
How would you handle a follow-up question?
I'm glad you asked.
Marion also wants to help you.
How do you handle a follow-up question? You can actually, as it's happening, you can create another entry for that question, and then these numbers up here will back time it.
Wow.
So you can say, you know, it took me like 30 seconds to create that, so I'm going to back time it 30 seconds. So, but wait, there's more. The other thing that this has is Backlogger. And Backlogger is basically the same exact interface that you can use to log footage after the fact, right? So if you don't have somebody logging on set, you can bring that footage back in to post and you can log it here as opposed to logging it within Final Cut. And then the process is exactly the same. You then export the XML, import from here, marry it all together. So you can log it after the fact if you want to. And you would just do that with a file. So we'll just open a file up. Let's go to our correct event here that has all of our information. Oh, is it not going to load it? Load it up, there it is. And then again, we just play the file.
First question. Why did you come to this solar event?
Why did you come to the solar
Oh, we're
event?
very excited about solar. And Sullivan Solar is
She
great.
finishes her
They have
question
put the solar panels
out.
on our home.
Right. So it's the same thing that you would do on set. You're just doing it in post instead. Don't get as many advantages, but you still get the advantages of adding all the keywords automatically and creating string outs of stuff. Cool? Okay, so that's one way that Final Cut takes advantage of metadata. Well, Final Cut with a third-party application.
Hey, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Question. If you say when you're doing an interview, sometimes your first question, the person is kind of nervous, so you go through the interview and get warmed up, then you decide to ask that first or second question again. Would you hit that again in Lumberjack, or would
Yep.
you have to enter, so it would just mark it again in the?
Yep. And so so if you ask the question twice, you ask it the first time, start it, stop it, ask it again, start it, stop it. It just means you get 2 ranges for that question, is all that is. And you can, I just closed it up, didn't I? You can mark things as favorites or rejects while you're logging it as well. So you could mark the first one as a reject.
It doesn't matter if the camera was rolling at the time, when it marries it up later, if the camera started rolling after you started a B-roll log or an interview log, for example, it would just start at the beginning of what you actually recorded.
You lost me on that one.
You hit, I'm starting my interview, but the camera actually rolled 2 seconds after you hit the log.
Oh.
Is that an issue at all?
I don't think it would be. I've never done that before. But I don't think it would. It's still going to have time code that matches the time code on the clip. So I'm assuming it would just do that.
Cool.
But that's a good question. I'll have to test that.
I think like when you're shooting B-roll, like you start one log and you're starting to stop and start to stop on the camera a lot.
You know what? I've never really used this for doing B-roll because most of the time B-roll's pretty flip and run and gun, right? I mean, you're just boom, 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 boom. There's not a lot of time to go, oh, hold on, I'm going to start this, and I'm going to shoot this shot, and then I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to stop. That it becomes cumbersome at that point. But again, if you had a PA doing it, you know,
They're
just
following you along. And
right. Yeah, roll the camera and just, look at the PA and go, camera speeding. He or she hits the button and cutting, hit the button, cut the camera. So you could do it.
Even if you were going to shoot B-roll for an hour, if you just start it, and then anytime you're rolling, without having to log again, anytime you're rolling, it's still applying that time.
Well, you would still have to start it and stop it on the log itself, on logger, per shot, to create the in and the out so that it has the metadata to create the clip.
Right. But you might
But you couldn't stop it at the end of the hour.
But you could do it in backlogger. Yeah. All right, so that's one way that it uses metadata. That's more of a documentary, corporate, talking head, B-roll kind of world. What if you're doing narrative, right? And you want to be able to capture the information that your scriptie wrote while you were on set. Everybody know what a scriptie is? Script supervisor? Everybody good with that? Back there? You do know or don't know? Okay. Okay, so a script supervisor is somebody who will be on location capturing information that's going to flow through to post-production. Things like any of the notes that the director makes on a roll, right? So you do a take, the director has notes, the scriptie will keep track of all of those notes. They keep track of what take number it is, what scene number it is, stuff like that. And normally that comes to me as an editor in a giant book of information that I have to keep going back and forth to. I want it in my edit. So there's another application out there called Shot Notes X.
Can you link it to your edit, right?
Mm-hmm. So ShotNote X works on XML files, but on set, it's going to work on a regular old spreadsheet. So you'll get a spreadsheet that your scriptie is going to get, and your scriptie needs to have obviously a computer or an iPad or something to create this stuff. So this is the template for it. This is the template that, oh God, enough. This is the template that ShotNotes X actually exports out for you to hand to your scriptie, and it has columns for clip names or file names, time code, clip suffixes, scene take notes, any keywords that you want to apply on set, favorites, rejects, all this information, right? I've actually truncated some of this because I don't need all of this information. And I send the scriptie a log that they can work on that looks like this. And this is these are actual scriptie notes from a film that I just got done working on. Would you please stop trying to update everything? So again, we have that file name column. I have a time code column. This time code column, this number just has to exist somewhere within that take roll. right? Start the camera, stop the camera. This number has to exist somewhere in there with the time code. Scene numbers, take. This is just general notes that the director gave to the scriptee. This is the actual audio file name because this was second source sound, so everything had to be synced up in post. Whether it was a favorite, when the director said, "Yep, that's the one, that's the circle take," all they needed to do was put an X in that column. There wasn't any information in here for camera name, camera angles. So that's what the scriptee works with on set. And if you use Google Docs, if you're working on a project where the scriptee is actually out, like for those of you that work on 48s, if the scriptee is creating shot notes in this file on Google Docs and you're back in the edit bay going, Jesus, where is my footage? And you want to know where they're at, just go to Google Docs and you'll be able to see exactly where they are in the production based on what's on the scriptee notes. So let me open the library for this one. So what we've got in this library is, this was the original footage that came off of the camera, right? And this was a multicam set, so it was 2 cameras rolling on this stuff. So these are the individual, I always click that one instead of that one. These are the individual clips, camera A and camera B. These are the audio files that go along with those clips. And at this point, what I'm going to do when I get the footage is I'm going to create multicam clips out of them, which is fairly easy to do with Final Cut. You just go in and figure out which clip is this. This is scene 13, take 1. Let's see if we can actually see that. Scene 13, take 1. This is camera 1, scene 13, take 2. This is camera 2, so I'm going to command click that one so that I've got them both selected. I'm going to go up here to scene 13, grab the audio file, right click, new multicam clip. I'm just going to use audio for synchronization. If I wanted to use other things here, if I have time code, I can use time code. And I'm going to say OK. Create the multicam clip. I think I chose the wrong audio because it's taking forever. And it creates a multicam clip. If we go over here and look at the angle, no, not the scopes, the angles, we can see that there are multiple angles here. Camera 1, camera 2, and then our audio file. So we go through, we make all of these multicam clips. There's actually an application out in the wild called Sync and Link that I don't have on this system because it's a $500 application, and I've yet to get in a situation where all the things matched that I could use it. But if you are running time code to all of your cameras and syncing that to your audio recorder, with Sync and Link, you can literally get all of your footage, all of your audio from that day, export out an XML, use Sync and Link, and with one click with all of that time code, it will immediately create sync clips or immediately create multicam clips. So you don't have to go through the process that I just did with each clip. It just looks at all the time code, marries everything up, bam, you're done. It's literally syncing dailies with the click of a button.
Does your Sumo let you do the same thing?
The Sumo?
Because you got time code going all cameras, it's the same?
Well, the key to it is the Sumo wouldn't do that, wouldn't do the sync up. It's this application called Sync and Link that does it. But again, the key to that is you have to have time code going to all cameras and your sound recording device.
I just wondered whether if you had a multi-cam recorder like you do, whether you don't have to have time code going to all the cameras because the recorder's starting them all at the same spot.
You would still have to have the time code to all sync, right? So I see what you're saying because I'm recording multiple files at the same time, but that time code would have to all sync and the second source time code would have to sync to it. So once we have all of our multicam clips created, I put those multicam clips into a event called for shot notes. You notice I put Z's here? I do that because this is all the stuff that when I start editing, I'm not really going to work with. It's going to be the original footage, the multicam clips, but I want that to all shuffle to the bottom in this big column. So I put a Z in front of it, and that just shoves it to the bottom, right? All right, so now we have all of our multicam clips, and we have all of that information that our scripty captured on set. So again, we're going to go here to this event, and I'm going to say File, Export XML. This time I'm going to go over to our Shot Notes XML folder. And yeah, we'll just leave it as this. And we're going to say Save. So it's going to export out the XML file for that event. This is when we go to our magic application of Shot Notes X. With Shot Notes X, we're going to go get that XML that we just exported, and we're going to drop it in. We're also going to take our Excel file. We do have to export it out of Excel as a CSV file. And that's just as simple as a save as, right? We're going to take that CSV file. We're going to drop it into Shot Notes X. Right now, this is what I want to see. 0 of 7 clips have no match. The important part is the 0 and the no. This is really a weird way to call this. You know, it's just like it's a confusing, I don't know, quadruple negative. And then you say, Save XML. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. I'm going to put it in this folder called Shot Notes Export. I'm going to say Save. And then it's going to ask me which event, which library do I want to put this in. And I'm going to put it in Feature Workflow 1. I'm going to choose that. It's going to do its magic. Da, 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 da. So what happened over here? Well, I now have an event for just that scene, right? And if I look in that event, all of my multicam clips are in there. But more importantly, if I go into List View, remember all those notes that were captured? They're all there. I have all of my scripty notes within my edit system now. I don't have to go back to that big book and go, where's scene 13? Where's scene 13A? What did they say about take 2? No, it's right here, man. It's all there. You'll also notice that anything that was marked a favorite has favorite applied. What does that mean? That means if I go in here to scene 13 and I only want to see the clips that were favorited by the director, I tell it to only show me favorites, and now I have 13 and 13A, only the favorites, only what the director wanted to use, right? And we all know as editors, if the director wants to use that shot, we're going to tell them, no, it's not the best one. This one was better. And if you don't believe me, ask Mike Brueggemeyer.
Got erased.
So that is Shot Notes X. Think about how you can use that on your features.
Got about 5 minutes to wrap up the Q&A.
Only 5? Okay, so in that case, I'm going to do this. I'm going to really quickly show you the other thing that's really cool, and I have to do this fast, about Final Cut, and that is the magnetic timeline. Let me close this out. I'm going to show you how I took a 30-second spot and turned it into a 15-second spot in no time at all. So this is a spot that we did for Grossmont Cuyamaca Community College. This is a 30-second spot to highlight their CTE programs, which are certificate programs. This one was for cardiovascular technician. Let me just roll this so you have a reference of what we're looking at.
Faster's great. More affordable. even better. In only 2 years and as little as $46 a credit, you can be in the direct line of saving lives with a career in cardiovascular technologies. Or choose from many other 2-year career education programs. Grossmont College, your career is here.
So client comes back and says, oh God, we love that thing, it's amazing, but we need a 15 of it. And you go, oh crap, now I gotta cut that thing into a 15, it's gonna take me forever, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, not with Final Cut. This is where Final Cut really smokes. It's doing revisions. And it really smokes because it's not a standard timeline. It's a magnetic timeline, which means as I pull things out and move them around, they snap together. If you look closely to all of these things here, they all have connection points, right? This is the heart monitor beeping sound that you hear.
Less $46 a credit.
It's the machine.
You can be in the direct.
That is connected right here to this clip. Do you see this little, I call it a snorkel? It's connected to that clip there. So if I move this clip, it moves with it, right? This is the text that's associated with that says, oh, come on, get out of here, go. This text that says $46 a credit, that's connected here. If I move this, it all goes with it, right? So this is why it becomes really, really quick to edit. I want to make this into a 15. Okay, well, I'm obviously going to have to get rid of some of this dialogue. What can I get rid of? What is this?
Faster's great.
Faster's great, I like that.
More affordable, even better.
Well, more affordable, even better. Yeah,
in only 2 years and as little as $46.
Now we talk about, okay, it's only $46 a credit. So you know what, I'm just going to get rid of this shot to shorten it up, and I'm going to take that VO with it. That's gone. The one thing I should do first is get my 15. Here's my 15 music, right? So I'm going to drop this in. Nope, not there. Where is it? No, it's not that one. Where's my music? Where's my music? Music. Did I not import the music? Oh my God, it doesn't have it on here. Purchase music. Where is it? What's that? Oh, thank you. Thank you. See, that's what happens when you wind up going too fast. Purchase music. So here is my 15-second shot or version of that. Let me drop it in. So that we got to get it down to here, right? So let's get rid of this music. We got to get it down to here. So we're going to get rid of this shot, but we did like the. Hold on, what did I do? Back up. I got rid of the wrong one. I wanted to get rid of more affordable, right? So let's dump that shot. Since more affordable text was connected to it, it goes away, but all of this text stays in sync. Right? All right, so what else can we get rid of? Let's get rid of another one of these shots just to speed things up a little bit. So I like that one, I don't like that one, we're gonna get rid of that. So let's listen here where, let's get rid of the other music so we're not listening to 2 tracks. Get out of there.
$36 a credit. You can be in the
this.
direct line of saving lives with a career in cardiovascular.
That stuff has to stay because that's what we're talking about. So let's get rid of this shot too. We want to do the.
In only 2 years.
Let's shorten the voiceover up.
Is great. In only 2 years and as little as $46 a credit.
We need to get to $46 a credit faster. So we're going to slide this down. Hey, look, everything slides with it. I don't have to worry about what's down here. Nothing's going on.
And as little as $46 a credit, you can be in the.
Let's get this in faster. We're going to slide that up. We'll slide this.
You can be in the direct.
Let's slide this audio down so we're into it immediately.
$1 a credit. You can be in the direct line of saving lives with a career in cardiovascular technologies. Or.
Well, we don't need that or stuff. We don't have any time for or. We're just in cardiovascular technologies. Or's got to go. Takes the text with it.
Faster's great. In only 2 years and as little as $46 a credit, you can be in the direct line of saving lives with a career in cardiovascular technologies.
Where are we at? Let's get that in there quick. Let's actually slide this whole thing back. Right? Selected all of that, slid it back.
In only 2 years and as little as $46 a credit.
Oh, we lost faster, didn't we? Slide that down.
Faster's great. In only 2 years and as little as $46 a credit, you can be in the direct line of saving lives with a career in cardiovascular technology.
Oh, screw that.
In only 2 years and as little as $46 a credit, you can be in the direct line of saving lives with a career in cardiovascular technologies. Grossmont College, your career is here.
Sorry, we don't have time for that. That's got to go. But everything's
Technologies. Grossmont College, your career is here.
We get rid of this, bring it back down. We don't need the heart. We don't need the heartbeat. We don't need the sound of the machine that goes bing. And we slide this back. Actually, we don't even have to do that. Let's just blade the whole damn thing. Right here. We're just going to blade it all. Oh, what happened? We went into a compound clip. We didn't want to do that. Let's select it all. Get rid of that. And bada bing, bada boom.
Faster's great. In only 2 years and as little as $46 a credit, you can be in the direct line of saving lives with a career in cardiovascular technologies. Grossmont College, your career is here.
How long did it take us to do that? That's a 30 to a 15 in probably what, 4 minutes? Right? Doing that in old school Avid, I would have gone into here and I would have gone, well, I got to cut this out. Well, but I'm going to knock everything out of sync. Shit, I'm just going to cut everything. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to cut everything and I'll sync the music back up later. So I'll pull this out and select. Yeah.
What's your charge for that?
$437,000.
Is that a 2-hour edit charge or 1 hour?
It would be a 1 hour edit charge for me. But to tell you the truth, that's not how I would do the advantage of this is if the client comes back to me and says, oh, well, we need a 15 too, and I've got a little pad in the budget, I don't have to charge them for the 15 too, right? Because it's only going to take me 4 minutes to make a 15. So now I've told my client, yeah, I'll just give you the 15. Made them happy, didn't take me forever to do it.
Now we need a 10 spot.
What's that?
Now we need a 10 spot.
Yeah, well, just keep cutting. What VO do you want to lose? But the idea behind this is because everything is connected, revisions are much, much faster, right? I can just throw things away. Everything stays in sync. I don't have to think about what's on that side of my timeline. I can just work. The magnetic timeline was the most annoying thing for me when I first started working in Final Cut. I wanted to take this and throw it through a flipping window. And the process, the learning curve of Final Cut and the magnetic timeline goes like this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I fucking love this. But you have to get to that point. If you've never worked with a timeline before, you're not going to experience that. There's no unlearning curve. But if you've worked in Avid, if you've worked in Premiere, you're going to go through that. You have to go through that to get to the point where you understand it. Okay, time for any questions, or am I done?
That is time. We're going to cut their questions afterwards in the break. We are going to, another 10-minute break. Come back at 12:10, promptly, sharp. Sync your watches.